Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to try to get this rear end back together. Got some parts back here, and it has been cold here in Tallahassee. It got down to 27 the other day. It started raining this morning. It's hot outside, and look at this. Everything in the garage dewed over. So everything in the garage was cold. When I opened the garage, everything is now wet. Not a problem. Just funny, in my opinion. Anyways, before we get started, real quick, online on storefrontier.com, I have, I think, 6 different shirts available now. Some are two-sided. There's different colors. There's long sleeve, short sleeve, hoodies, and also koozies. There's different colors too, so make sure you look at that. But anyways, check those out for me. See what you think. If you like them, pick them up, help support the channel. That'd be awesome. But yeah, let's get started. So this morning already I have taken this bearing off. So I borrowed a puller. Puller wasn't correct. It was I was going to just try to use it, and I don't have the piece that goes in the press. I call it a bearing splitter. I don't know what you call it, but I call it a bearing splitter. Don't have one of those. So just a few minutes, I put a little heat on the race, or the bearing only, with the cage off. Put a little heat on it. Put the air chisel to it with an angled tip, so that way I could get a good angle on it without touching anything. And that took about 15 seconds to get that off. So that worked perfectly. This is a rental tool from AutoZone, $60. It was a brand new in the plastic kit, so it's not all fubbed up by somebody that doesn't know how to use stuff. I'm gonna install new races. I need to get the old races out, but gonna put some new races in, and then we can go back together with everything. I do have the crush sleeve eliminator here. It's a Yukon, and it's made for the GM 85 and the Chrysler 925. And this collar right here is not, it's like 80 thousandths small or bigger than the shaft, so it wobbles on the shaft. And then you have the spacers that fit perfectly. So I don't know the reason for that being so loose on the shaft. I'll show you all that in a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. People like them. We'll try it. You can see my kit here from Motive has all the stuff I need. Red Loctite, got my marking compound, new nut, bearings, everything. So I'm gonna get the old races out, get the new races in, and yeah, let's get this thing done. Also, real quick, since the axles are out, I went ahead and hooked up the impact, 19 millimeter, and these studs are coming right out. So that headache I was having the other day, now that the axle's out, not a problem. I'm gonna go ahead and replace the studs with 3-inch studs. Okay, so here we are under the car, and I'm gonna take these races out. If you're new to the channel, this is a 9.25 I built. There's videos on that. But to get these races out, I just have a little chisel here. Not a chisel, but a drift or whatever. There's a little dip there and a dip there. Tap it a few times, it should go out the other side. And from the other side, should be able to get this one to pop out this way. Man, even these things are wet. Anyways, both the races are out. Rear, here's the front. Another picture of the bearings. I showed this in the last video, but look how bad these bearings are. There's some really bad pitting. This is the front one. There's some pitting here. And you can hear that grind in there when I put pressure on it, compared to our fresh bearings, which are flawless. And I can feel the pitting in that. So I'm gonna get my new races, figure out which one of these I want to use. Yep, had the right one the first time. So I'm gonna go ahead and install my new races and keep on moving. All right, well, never know what's gonna happen in the shop. So the front pinion race, bearing race, went in easily. The rear, this is a big one here. This is the used one. The rear one didn't want to go in using this because it's too small. So it was driving it in at an angle. I couldn't get it straight. So went to a friend's house, see if he had bigger installers. He did not. We ended up, he had a drift, just a little brass drift. We ended up just tapping the new one in all the way around till it went in. A little tedious, but got it in there. Also, while I was at his house, had to help him with a Mercury power steering pump. So ate up a lot of time just doing this stuff and running back and forth to his house. But also installed the new bearing onto the Pinion using the shims that were already on the Pinion. That should set it up just right. And ran it back to his house again to get some bolts for this, some longer bolts. The factory bolts are too short, and I want to make sure that the yoke is held firmly. So this is my little yoke holder that I bought a while back ago. These things are like, I think $60 or so. So if you're doing a rear end like at home, if you don't have all the tools, it's cheaper to just pay somebody to do it. But anyways, what else? Crush sleeve. Here's a crush sleeve. If I remember right, it's been a couple hours. If I remember right, this measured at 560 thousandths. I have 2 little spacers and my crush sleeve eliminator that also measures 560 with the 2 that I have here. They give you an assortment and you just kind of match up. So hopefully this will give me a good starting point, if not the perfect preload. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and oil this up, oil up my front pinion bearing, install this and torque it down, check the preload. If I have to make adjustments, I have different shims here to do that. So that is next. I'm going to do this without installing the new seal because I don't want to damage the seal until we are done setting our preload. So I think that's gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and install this and tighten down the yoke using the old bolt. I'm gonna use the old bolt also. I'm gonna leave my new nut. I'm gonna leave my new nut in my package until I'm ready for final assembly. I don't want to. This is a lock nut, so I don't want to damage it at all. Taking it on and off a few times if I have to. Okay, been out here test fitting this Pinion, trying to get my preload right. I have an inch-pound torque wrench underneath the car. Been using some different shims here. I have been measuring my shims with these calipers. I tested these calipers with some feeler gauges and they read dead on. Those are cheap calipers, but they're reading dead on. So I test fit this thing quite a few times. I have a 22 thousandths, so my preload specifications 14 to 19 inch-pounds. That's what I'm getting off of Yukon's website. The 20 thousandth shim, I'm getting 25 inch-pounds of preload. So I made up a bunch. These are in 2 pound or 2 thousandths increments. So 4 thousandths, 6 thousandths, 8 thousandths. I think that's 12 thousandths. But anyway, so these two are 22 thousandths. So the 22 thousandths gives me 9 to 10 inch-pounds. The 20 thousandths gives me about 25 inch-pounds. So there's no way, there's no combination here they gave me to get the exact preload 14 and 19. But the 4-wheel drive units, the 9.25 in the front end, the front, 4-wheel drive front end 9.25, they allow 35 inch-pounds of preload. So I might try to get a little sandpaper and take a little bit off, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and install it. Every time I install it, I'm being sure to put gear oil on them, like very nice coated lubricant on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and install my front bearing, install my seal, install the Pinion. I called Yukon, or actually I emailed Yukon, and they recommend for this kit here, this spacer, crush sleeve eliminator, they recommend 250 foot-pounds on the nut and red Loctite. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So first up, you install your lubed up bearing, seal, and I still have these seals and race installers. Yep. That's it. And that bearing right there. So when we run our pinion through, just run it right through both of those. Okay, went ahead and put some grease around my yoke here, pinion's in, and I'm gonna just put it on loosely and then draw it up with the nut. Alright, so it just bottomed out. I used my old nut to do that because I need to put my red Loctite on this nut. I have some grease on the, or some gear oil on the back, red Loctite in it, and I'm gonna zip it up and then put torque wrench on it. Okay, we're at 250 foot-pounds of torque, and I took some 180 sandpaper on the table and took just a little bit off of both sides of the spacer, not the shims. That was the easiest thing. So let's see what we have. Move you back a little bit here. So yeah, like 20, looks like 20. So I actually helped it out by doing that. I was at 25-ish. See, that's like 19 right there. So that's like 19. So actually I think I got it dead on. So get this off and pinion's done. All right, pinion's in, tools are cleaned up. It's getting dark, dinner time. See you guys in the morning. All right, new day, raining. Need to get this carrier put in, get the gears set up, preload, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get to that. So on the 9.25, you have a side adjuster here that's threaded instead of shims. I made a little tool for that, so let's get this thing put in. So whenever I took this thing apart, I only loosened the passenger side adjuster. Hopefully that will help me put it back together with, you know, getting the backlash pretty close. So I'm gonna tighten this side up and see what kind of backlash we have. Carrier adjusters, the bearing preload adjusters, are torqued. The bearing caps here are tight but not torqued. I'm just doing a quick backlash test, see where I'm at. And this is the first go round, and it looks like we have, oh man, it's like about 8 thousandths is what we had before. So without me moving this adjuster, that put me right back where we were. So we're allowed 6 to 10, and that's where we're at. So we're gonna keep it just like that, torque everything up, and we can go ahead and start putting axles back in. Getting pretty rowdy out there. Went ahead and put some marking compound on, ran the gears, drive side and coast side. I like the way they look, so I'm gonna let it ride and clean it up, put the cover on it, put some gear oil in it. All right, got it back together. Everything torqued up, full of fluid. I changed the jack stands here because I was gonna go for a ride around the neighborhood, but it just keeps raining. No windshield wipers, the roads are terrible. I'm not taking this out on a, there's like holding water on the streets, so not gonna take it out like that. But the other day, before I took it apart, I did put it on jack stands, and I was able to recreate the noise easily on jack stands. You just, as soon as it starts rolling, it's making noise. But I'm gonna go ahead, crank it up, see if we have a noise. Hopefully we don't. Here's the pinion bearing, the old one, and it is hacked up. Look at that. Is that close enough? Can you guys see that? Anyway, here's the race, pitted up. So hopefully that's our noise. Rear one isn't that bad, but you can see pitting still. And the bearings aren't that bad. I had to definitely wear on it, but not like the front one. Actually, that one looks tapered. Yep. So anyway, those that should be my problem. So let's find out. Oh boy. Okay, so car hadn't been started in about 2 weeks whenever I took it apart. So just gonna put it in neutral to start it. Fire it up, let the trans pump a little bit, put it in gear. Hopefully no noise. Fingers crossed. Fuel pump. We are good. No rear end noise, just fuel pump. Good to go, no noise. All right, I am like 99% sure this thing is fixed. Thing's quiet. Those bearings were, man, I just looked at them again. There's one spot that's like shot. So this thing sounds good. Not gonna rip today. We got rain, so that's supposed to pass tonight. Hopefully tomorrow we can get out here. This is gonna pass by tonight. We're gonna get some cold weather tomorrow. So hopefully we can get this guy out of the garage, do a good test drive. And man, I'm so happy that's over with. And just don't cut corners, guys. If something like that, pinion bearing, I should have just replaced it. But anyways, it is what it is. It's fixed. 99% sure it's fixed. I don't hear it. So man, I'm excited. Hopefully tomorrow we can do some rips. Hope you guys enjoyed this today. See you next time.